to be fair, these are not the results I was expecting to get. The plan for today is to compare the Mic Mini with the Mic 2 and see how they stack up against each other and whether it's really worth spending that extra money on the Mic 2 and the 32-bit float that everybody's raving about. Now, I've been using Mic Minis for quite some time, both for the YouTube videos but also for my professional work. Never really had any issues with them. The sound is absolutely spot on. But I've never stuck them against the Mic 2. I'm just curious if there's an actual difference that you can hear between these two. So I've got a couple of errands to run today. We'll hit the road, we'll do some sound testing outside and within the car, well, a van that's pretty loud. So that should give us a really good idea of the noise cancellation and how usable they are in the real vlogging scenarios. Let's hit the road. This is the ultimate noise reduction test to see if there's a difference between the Mic Mini and Mic 2. In the way that they not only isolate my voice without making it sound too robotic, but also battle 35 to 40 knots wind, which, if you're not familiar with the wind speeds, is bloody windy. Now, typically what happens with these mics is that if you're using too much noise reduction, they make you sound a little bit like a badly written AI. I'm just curious if this is gonna cancel all the wind noise, because, like I said, it is very, very windy. Now we'll be switching between the DJI Mic 2 and Mic Mini. Mic 2 is running on the 32-bit float, and the Mic Mini is obviously recording straight into the receiver. Now, going downwind, that shouldn't be a massive difference, but if we'll turn into the wind, there might be quite a bit of that. So as you can see, we're switching between the Mic Mini and Mic 2 all the time. I keep talking rubbish just to see how well the voice is going to get isolated. I have no idea of the results. I never compare these, and to be fair, I never film in conditions like that, at least not that often, and not with the sound of this type. Enjoying the wind? Since we've got this part done, let's go and do some driving, because that's another plausible vlogging scenario. Whew. That was fairly windy. Let's see how it's gonna deal with the road noise. I can see it's picking up a little bit of a noise from the engine itself, but let's get this up to speed and see if you can vlog with the Mini and how much better the Mic 2 is, or is it not? I'm really looking forward to see the results of this test, because I've been using the Mic Mini for quite some time now, both for my private stuff and my professional stuff, and it did the job very well on every occasion. And just to give you a context, it's a pretty big van with a massive roof rack, whistling all the time. It's loud as hell. The mud tires on the van itself don't help either. So there's a lot of noises here, and also all the kite surfing gear in the back, bouncing up and down. It's not an ideal vlogging scenario. If you're driving a Tesla, you might just disregard that because you don't have any noises. We're doing about 50 miles an hour right now, going straight into the wind. And like I mentioned, it is really, really windy today. So if we're doing 60 miles an hour just now, the wind's doing about 30. So it's like an equivalent of 90 miles hitting the van. A roundabout, for my American friends, roundabouts is what we use in Europe to avoid collisions and traffic jams. And they work. It's like NASCAR. You're just going in the right. No shit, NASCAR, you're actually going left, right? So yeah, on our roundabouts you go right. On European roundabouts you go left, just to make it a little bit more confusing. Yeah, but it's simple, really. So this is the sound coming from the Mic 2 with the noise cancellation on and pretty noisy van. And this is the sound coming from the Mic 2, recording in 32-bit float in a pretty noisy van. Let's switch off noise cancelling on the DJI Mic 2 off. So, there's no noise cancelling on the Mic 2 right now. It might be pretty noisy, as you can hear. But now, let's see what happens if I switch off noise cancelling completely on the DJI Mic Mini. Okay, so that's noise cancelling on the DJI Mic Mini off. Let me know what you think. Is there a difference? There's definitely a difference. So the noise cancelling is back on the DJI Mic Mini. We're going straight into the rain as well, just adding an insult to an injury. And now switching back to the DJI Mic 2. This is lack of noise cancelling right now. And this is with the noise cancelling back on. Let's see if with the noise cancelling off, can we manipulate the 32-bit float more than we can do with DJI Mic Mini. So this is the edited footage, well, later edited footage of the 32-bit float coming from the DJI Mic 2. And I'm not using here any gimmicks. This is standard preset on the Final Cut Pro. And now we're switching over to the Mic 2. So this is the original sound with no noise cancelling. And this is with some post-processing involved. And again, nothing too fancy, just the standard settings that you would use as an average YouTuber on the Final Cut Pro. Is there a difference between these two? Let me know down in the comments. There are some false claims about the Mic Mini that needs to be addressed. As you know, the Mic Mini has this function that it limits the clipping of your audio, which means if you messed up your preamp settings on your camera, so you set it up too high or too low, this will kind of take care of that, but it's not something that would replace the 32-bit float. It can only do so much internally, but if you really mess it up and you go into a very loud environment or you start speaking very loudly, the DJI Mic Mini might not be able to cope with this as well as the DJI Mic 2 and 32-bit float. So this is DJI Mic Mini, and this is the DJI Mic 2. And I was pretty loud here, as loud as I can with my vocal cords. So, I'm not saying that it's not true what other reviewers are claiming, but just take it with a grain of salt. This is not replacing 32-bit float. But to be fair, in most situations, if you're just using one mic, I can't see that being an issue, because the only time I really messed it up was when I used the Mic 2. I didn't use a 32-bit float internal recording, and I had my camera set to +8 on the preamp because that's my default setting for Sennheiser MKE 400. Anything below that, it's just too quiet. Totally forgot about that setting. Recorded a very long clip, but you can hear it just now. NAS solutions for quite some, which I could only use a couple of minutes of because the rest was just too creaky. I was just editing this, and to be fair, these are not the results I was expecting to get. I was honestly expecting the 32-bit float on DJI Mic 2 to be so much better, to be sounding better, but also to be cleaner when we use both the built-in noise reduction, but also when I'm doing this in post. And it might be me working like a donkey with the 32-bit float in Final Cut, but quite honestly, these two mics are so close to each other, I can't really tell a difference if I would hear them not side by side, but also between you and I think the Mic Mini sounds better, warmer, and deals with some of the noise better than the Mic 2. Now, there are a couple of instances, and I think this is very much scenario dependent, where the Mic 2 dealt with the environmental sounds better. There was one part though, this one here, because that's another plausible vlogging scenario. I don't know what happened, but it seems like the Mic 2 absolutely lost its plot. Sorry for cutting in, I'm doing the final edit right now. Don't mind the hair, by the way, it's 5:30 AM. Just roll out of the bed. So on this frame here, I'm just curious if this is gonna cancel all the wind noise, because like I said, it is very, very windy. Looks like the DJI Mic 2 was picking up more of a wind noise rather than my voice, and the only explanation I've got is that because I was holding the camera with my right arm, if you've been here long enough, you know that my left arm got ripped out mountain biking, so I can't really lift it up beyond a certain level, and Mic 2 was on the left-hand side, Mic Mini was on the right-hand side, so that's why maybe the Mic Mini was picking up more of the voice than the Mic 2 was, and also the Mic 2 was covered by the over lapel of my jacket. That's the only explanation I've got, because otherwise I've never had that issue with the Mic 2. So this is a new one. This is in no way, shape or form scientific approach to this, but for someone who's just trying to find a microphone system that works for them for content creation, I mean, this is less than half price when compared to Mic 2 and Rode Wireless Mic Pro as well. and the sound quality is absolutely fantastic. The only thing I would say that Mic 2 gives you that backup recording in 32-bit float, which is maybe less relevant to what I do, but it is a backup recording. And if for some reason, I don't know, your receiver runs out of battery or your cable pops out of your camera, you've got that backup at hand, so you're not losing all that footage. And for full transparency, I've never been given anything by DJI. I pay for these myself. I've got no business really recommending you the cheaper microphone, especially since I've got affiliate links below, and I would weigh way more if you would go for a set of these. But to be fair, if you're only doing YouTube, I think this is way to go. It's cheaper, it works just as well, and you can hear that actual sound coming from the Mic Mini is freaking spot on. And I'm not 100% sure what happened with DJI here with the thought process, but it almost feels like they shot themselves in the foot with the Mini, because the two kind of becomes obsolete for most of the small creators. Not to mention that the form factor plays a huge role here. The other thing is that we're constantly being pushed all the new tech by influencers 24/7. Whenever there's new microphone, lens or camera coming out, it's been claimed that this will elevate your game. When it comes to cameras right now, I would argue that 99% of mirrorless cameras will do just as good a job for a YouTube channel. The technology with the microphones hasn't changed that much in the last decade or so. There's very little things that you can actually do to a mic to make it sound much better than everything else. Obviously, you've got the professional grade mics, but things like Rode Pro Plus, it's the same mic as we've had for a decade, I think, right now. I had a Mic Pro that had cable issues like everyone else, and obviously Rode, in all their wisdom, decided not to have replaceable cable on that one microphone that's still $250, which is bloody annoying, and I need to solder it on. Didn't have time, so I got the Sennheiser instead. But you and I think this would do just as well as the guy I'm recording this on. Maybe even better, because it wouldn't be picking up the lens noise, and I'll show you how it looks. This is my setup when I'm recording anything in the studio. I want it to sit in front of the lens just in case it will pick up that out of focus stuff. And this is the RF glass, so it is silent, but it's still, you still need to use your voice isolation and do some post-production stuff. Whereas this one is far away enough from the camera itself not to pick up any noise, and it's very directional. What I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't be overspending when you really don't have to. And I honestly believe that the DJI Mic Mini is the way to go. And if you want to learn more about DJI Mic 2, click here.